The year is 1815. England is in a state of civil unrest, having beaten Bonaparte's French Empire alongside her allies. In these next few years the government must struggle in a new war, a war between classes, a war to push back the ideas left behind by the not long gone monstrous revolutionary threat, and see off said ideas to the other side of the Channel. Parliament was rotten with corruption. The majority of the ministers of the House of Commons had won votes due to rigging the elections, with the use of pocket or rotten boroughs. The people were gradually becoming aware of how little freedom they actually had. Rallied behind famous radicals like Henry Hunt, the people would call en masse for Parliament to reform, and the vote be given to all men. In this short film, we will inform you of the nature of these rallies, and ways in which the government responded to them.
Sparfields meeting, London, December 1816. Crowds gather at Sparfields in London. Henry Hunt found himself would be appearing to give a speech to the crowds. Thousands of people had steamed out of both the city and the surrounding towns and villages. The atmosphere was like that of a carnival. Bands played and banners were waved. The vast majority of the crowd were loyal to the nation. When the national anthem was played, thousands joined in to sing God Save the King. Hunt arrived, and everyone quieted to hear him call for lower taxes and the reform of Parliament.
Peaceful as it seemed, a small section of the crowd rioted and went on the rampage. They broke open gun shops to arm themselves. They marched on the Tower of London, and there was a lot of rioting and looting. Yes, lots of looting. After the violence of the Sparfield riots, the government passed an act suspending the law of habeas corpus. To put a long story short, this meant that anybody could be arrested and imprisoned without a trial, and ensured that anyone could be thrown in jail on suspicion of being a revolutionary.
The March of the Blanketeers, March 1817. Crowds gathered in Manchester. They planned to organise a protest march to London, where a petition would be handed to the Prince Regent. It demanded parliamentary reform, the abolition of the Corn Laws, and the reintroduction of habeas corpus. It also listed concerns regarding the condition of the economy, the unemployment, and the high taxes. When it came for the event, about 300 people set off. Many of them were weavers who were unemployed themselves. They were hopeful that they could win support and others would join in their marching. They expected that friendly locals would give them rooms to sleep for the nights, but each of them carried with them a blanket, just in case they had to sleep outside. However, they did not get far. They were stopped by troops at Stockport, only a few miles from Manchester. There was some fighting and one man was killed, several wounded. In the same month, to prevent anything happening like this again, Parliament passed an act that made it illegal to hold meetings of more than 50 people. With large meetings banned and habeas corpus gone, the radicals were forced into secrecy. Communication and coordination was made very difficult. The government then resorted to the use of agents provocateurs to infiltrate radical groups and encourage them to rise up. They would participate in the planning of these uprisings and feed the government with information, so the radicals could be caught red-handed.
French Rising, June 1817. In England, the majority of workers were given low wages for long, hard hours of their trade. They were disgruntled at their circumstances. A glimmer of hope was provided, however, when an unbelievably passionate revolutionary gained their trust and convinced them that if they threw down their tools, rose up and marched on Nottingham, their rising would spread throughout the nation and cause a revolution. This almost seemed too good to be true. Unfortunately for the workers, it was. The revolutionary was none other than the infamous Oliver, who led the workers on right up to their arrival in Nottingham. The ragtag band of 200, armed with pikes, pitchforks and a few guns, walked right into Oliver's trap. The group were met by soldiers who rounded them up and arrested them for their attempted crime. Following a trial, the leaders were hanged. 30 were transported to the prison colonies like Australia. The trial and punishment was to serve as an example to anyone who would be a revolutionary, but the government's hand in the affair led to the public outcry. The last words uttered by one of the rebels at the gallery was, "This is the work of the government and Oliver."
The government were now relatively safe from the radicals who had been hounded underground. Provocateurs like the infamous Oliver were everywhere and could be anyone. How long would this relative stability last?